Thank you very much to the Minister Counselor from the Chinese Embassy here in Harare, Zimbabwe. Thank you very much for ensuring that the relationship between China and Zimbabwe grows. We are very grateful for you coming to see us and to meet with us and give us some news which are very encouraging. We realize that the population in China is huge, but like the Councillor says, the death of those 600 people in China, we feel sorry for them and we sympathize with them. No life should be lost. And we're also happy that they are putting everything in place to ensure that there is proper control of the coronavirus in China, so that it doesn't spread. If China did not control the spread by ensuring that they put all the relevant facilities, carry out the relevant research in China, then we'll be worried. So I was very happy to be advised by the Minister about the progress that is being done with regards to the research side of things. I was also very happy to hear from the Minister about one issue which has been worrying us quite a lot. That is the issue regarding our students in China. The Minister has clearly pointed out that the Chinese government is looking after all our students in China. They're making sure that they are good and sound wherever they are. They've got all the details of Zimbabwean students, and they're working with our embassy in Beijing on this particular aspect. So this is very, very encouraging. So all Zimbabwean parents who got their children at college, any Zimbabweans who got their relatives in China, this is the guarantee that we've gotten from the Chinese government today, that all our students, all our children are safe and sound and are being well looked after. I was also very happy to note that one of our own students in China, called Mnyaradzi Gurure, is giving some assistance there in China as a volunteer worker, making sure that all the areas at the railway station in the town that he lives are well disinfected. I also want to thank the Chinese government through this meeting here today for their continued effort to try and control the spread of 2019 novel coronavirus to Zimbabwe. This is very critical. They are trying to stop the spread of the virus into Zimbabwe, which is wonderful. So when we meet like this, their effort is to make sure that the virus does not arrive in Zimbabwe. And they are discouraging their nationals from coming to Zimbabwe, which is brilliant. This is exactly what we want. It's not Zimbabwe which has said we don't want the Chinese here, no. It is the Chinese embassy to their government who are advising Chinese nationals and discouraging them from coming here so that the virus doesn't come to Zimbabwe, which is very thoughtful of the Chinese government. So we are very grateful for that. And at the same time, we also in Zimbabwe have got to reciprocate by discouraging our nationals not to make unnecessary visits to China and all other affected countries. What the Chinese have done, this is really wonderful diplomacy. So we want to continue helping in the control, and this is a very good way of controlling the spread of the virus. And today they've come up with even another better suggestion. They would like all the nationals who are coming from China even though they are discouraging them from coming. But if they so happen to come to Zimbabwe, they are now encouraging us to impose a 21-day self-quarantine period. This is an excellent measure, once again. So they have said they are happy to have their nationals having a self-quarantine for at least 21 days. And during that quarantine period, self-quarantine period, they will be monitored by our rapid response teams, which are in each and every province of Zimbabwe, together with the Chinese doctors, whom we have also incorporated in our local rapid response teams. We've got some Chinese doctors who are here in Zimbabwe on contract with the Ministry of Health. So they will be working together with our public health teams in the monitoring process to ensure that they check the temperatures and conditions of these visitors who will be under self-quarantine. The self-quarantine helps in the sense that these candidates will not be going out, or they will not be going to the malls, but they will be confined to one particular area, and they will not be allowed to go out, and meet where there are crowds, So, perfect control of the spread of coronavirus, and it also makes it easy for our teams to be able to really know that the candidate will be stationed at that particular self-quarantine unit without having to go and look for them all over the place. What is going to happen is that the candidate will arrive at the airport, whether it is Victoria Falls, whether it is Harare, whether it Robert Mugabe, whether it is Joshua Nkabuko, or any port of entry. And our staff, working together with the Chinese embassy, will get all the details of the individuals, and they will be able to follow them for the next 21 days. So we are very grateful for that. Stopping the spread of the virus into Zimbabwe can never be better than this self-quarantine, which the Chinese embassy and government have decided, to recommend for us to adopt, and we gladly adopt that because it's a perfect public health control measure. They have gone further and agreed that just in case those candidates who are being monitored under self-quarantine, if suddenly they have symptoms, they develop symptoms, they will have to be isolated, which means that they will have to be sent to an isolation center. We have isolation centers in Harare, the Wilkins Hospital, in Bulawayo Thorn Grove, and Victoria Falls Hospital in Victoria Falls. And in most of our provincial hospitals, we have created isolation centers. So after that process has happened, isolation centers will become the next point for the individual to be taken to. I'm very happy to note that today they've decided and agreed to assist us, in upgrading our isolation facilities. So a team composed of the Chinese doctors and our public health specialists are going to be visiting these units and identifying exactly what it is that we require in the improvement of the isolation services. We are very happy with that, and they were also going to be giving us translators, which will ease the communication process. So there will be translators, courtesy of the Chinese embassy, to facilitate all the translation services at the ports of entry, and at the isolation units. This is really, really good news for us. So, Minister, we are very happy with all this assistance, with all this cooperation in the efforts to stop the spread of 2019 novel coronavirus in Zimbabwe. They've said the last thing they want to see is coronavirus suddenly appearing in Zimbabwe. So the main purpose is to ensure that we don't get coronavirus, especially the 2019 novel coronavirus in Zimbabwe. I think let me stop there. I thank you. Status in the hospitals in as far as medicines and the infrastructure and equipment is concerned. Now, this one we are zeroing in on a particular problem in health, and this is the one we are talking about, the preparedness specifically for the 2019 novel coronavirus. So this is very, very specific. And the issues that have to be dealt with in regards to the preparedness of this particular problem, we are very clear and very happy with the arrangements which are in place. And the coming in of the Chinese embassy here today even makes us even more prepared, because what we don't want is to have someone arriving. So the first port of preparedness is at the port of entry. Avoid the carrier from coming in. So we are prepared, very prepared, at our borders with regards to thermodetector screening and of the fevers. That is point number one. And then if there is someone who has symptoms and they develop symptoms, we have gone one further in preparedness by having the Chinese embassy totally agreeing and supporting and recommending to us the issue relating to further quarantining of that particular candidate who will have come from the airport. So you see, it's protection at each and every stage. We are protecting our public, we are protecting our community. We have gone to stage 2. During that stage 2, there is continuous monitoring by our rapid response teams, our doctors, right? And if they pick something, we go to the next phase where we are already prepared. Example for Harare, Wilkins Hospital. 100% ready. Yesterday you saw Dr. Chonzi was already telling us about the teams which are allocated to go and work in that isolation unit. And we've come up, with the Chinese embassy, also saying that they want to give us assistance in sprucing up all our isolation units. So preparedness in as far as this particular aspect of public health is concerned is there. Laboratory, facilities for confirmation. You heard yesterday, they are ready. They already are waiting for the kits so that we can be able to do the PCR. We've got the PCR polymerase chain reaction equipment, which is the one that is used for the testing of the 2019 novel coronavirus. And at the same time, we've also looked at acquiring a rapid test kit. We've already got that information. There's a possibility that we'll be able to get that rapid test kit, which gives the result within 15 minutes. So this is preparedness. So this is the way we are going. I also want to continue advising you against the rumors which will continue to spread. Zimbabwe is ready. to tackle any 2019 novel coronavirus, appearance. So we don't want to create panic and fear.
Yes, John.
On the efforts, on China's efforts, with regards to stopping the virus, we are very, very pleased. We always know that China is a force to reckon with regards to research and development, right? Especially in the medical field. We know that the Chinese government has got a lot of high technology, medical technology. So we always look forward to getting a lot of medical outputs, in terms of achievements from China. So we are very confident. We are very pleased with the efforts that the Chinese government is making right now, and directly with us. The fact that we have the Chinese embassy coming to meet with us, and for us to be able to come up with a common position, it means a lot to us. It means that the Chinese government are very keen and interested to give assistance to Zimbabwe. This is the assistance that they are already giving us by ensuring that there are better controls between the borders of China and Zimbabwe through our ports. So this is highly recommended. So China is making a lot of efforts in this particular instance. Otherwise, we would not have seen them here if they were not making an effort. By coming here, it's an effort, to make sure that we control and contain the virus. So far, we do not have the virus in Zimbabwe, and the Chinese government do not want the virus to arrive in Zimbabwe. So they're making a lot of efforts. They're giving us all the advice. And at the same time, we are fully aware that the Chinese researchers are already working on the production of a vaccine and on making sure that, there is optimum medicines, medicines with optimum capacity to be able to fight the virus. So that is a lot of efforts which are being made. And from the figures themselves, which Minister here said, with a population of 28,000 affected, and you only have, yes, we do not want anyone to die, but it's 600 out of 28,000 who are affected. And already there is 1,200 who have, managed to recover. That is good news in terms of research. That is a good statistic. If we're saying only 5, have survived, then it's a bad statistic. But this is 1,200 versus 600 deaths out of 28,000 confirmed cases. So there's a statistical significance, in the right direction. So we have confidence that China will be able to stop the spread. The fact that, China has put up isolation hospitals in 6 days to 10 days shows that, they are really serious. The fact that there is 6,000 public health specialists who have been seconded, to all the key areas and the epicenter shows that, they've got the energy to be able to counter this virus. So yes, China is definitely putting an effort, and we are confident that China will be able to control this virus. And this has happened before with the SARS virus, and the Chinese managed to contain it. So likewise, we keep our fingers crossed that they are also able to contain the 2019 novel coronavirus. Thank you.
And in interest of time, we'll take the questions.
That's the first statement I have to make to you. Relax. Don't panic. Don't panic, please. If you as a journalist panics, then we're in big trouble. I said yesterday, there's 706 who had arrived by yesterday. By today, it's even gone up. People will not stop traveling. And this is not just from China, but also from other affected countries, in Asia there. And also there are now other affected countries in Europe. Africa is the only one which is still quite clear. But everywhere else where there have been those direct movements, they are also affected. But don't worry too much, because we are putting protocols in place to fully control all these people who are arriving in the country. And the one we have just come up with now is an even better and strong control measure. It's a much, much better control measure, where we are saying, if you come to Zimbabwe, you shall be quarantined, self-quarantined, for at least 21 days. That will see the figures going down as well. As the word goes out there to the rest of the world, as soon as they know that, if I get to Zimbabwe, I have to be in self-quarantine for 21 days, it will discourage people. Just like yourselves, if we were to hear that, if you get to China, you'll be self-quarantined for 21 days, would you go to China? You wouldn't go. So word is going to go out. The embassy are the ones who've come with that word, and they're going to make sure that all the Chinese nationals are advised that coming to Zimbabwe will mean that you'll have to stay for at least 21 days in self-quarantine. So we have to do that. We are agreeable to that because it will control and avoid that fear which you have. You rightly said you are worried. Very correct. And this is the measure which will make sure that you don't get worried.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And I would like to add a few remarks on this. Just as the minister says that we are very confident that we will resolve this issue, and now we keep the situation under control. And so, just as the minister says, don't worry about this, don't panic. And now we are taking the preventive measures. So we will prevent it, we will control it, and then we will diagnose the disease, and we will cure it. So in the whole process, we are taking all the actions. So we take all the preventive measures. Mm-hmm. So at the border of entry, and also self-quarantine, and then we will also take measures to help diagnose. So you have a CT machine, and then very soon the ministry will organize the test kit. So if there are any suspected cases, so we have the measure. And this is not something very horrible that we have no way to deal with it. We have a way, and we have the measure to deal with it, and we can cure it. And in China, more than 1,200 people have been cured and have been discharged from hospital. So this is a disease, and just a kind of disease. We don't have to worry very much about it. But why now people are more worried about it? Because this is a human-to-human transmission. And secondly, because now this is an issue, and the media focuses on this, and the Chinese government takes a lot of measures because we want to ensure that it won't spread to other countries. And so now it becomes an issue. But we have to look at this issue in a very objective, rational way. And this is an issue that we can deal with it, and we can resolve the issue. Just as we say that we say that there is no winter that will not pass. There is no spring that will not come. So we have full confidence. And I want to share with you the figures. In 2009, the US has a flu, and more than 6,000 people died. Okay, just because that the media is a little bit kept silent on it, so very few people knew it. Actually, it is spread to more than 214 countries. Okay, in the current days that there is also a flu there, and more than 10,000 people died of it, just because not many reports on this, and so the people seem not worry about it. But anyway, then let's just look at all these issues rationally, in an objective way, and we can handle it. Now we need confidence, not fear, and we need the mutual assistance, not stigma, just as the Director General of the WHO says. So we work together, and we work together as one, we get united, then we will conquer any virus, any coronavirus. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Let me return back to